Address something we haven't talked about here.
Okay.
Let's talk about David Barton.
Let's do it. Next senator of the great state of Texas.
I'm not quite so sure.
I greeted him that way on Friday. It's Senator Barton.
I know. I've greeted him that way for the last few weeks.
Reluctant to hear that. And so...
Well, I will tell you this. About 3 weeks ago, I called up the great senator from the state of Texas, David Barton. And I said, David, I've been talking about Louis Gohmert for a while, but I think I have even a better candidate. He said, all right, let's hear it. I said, what would you say to a guy who knows the Constitution inside and out? I mean, it's like Mike Lee. Inside and out. Knows it inside and out. Okay? God-fearing guy. Not a guy who's going to do something that's going to go, against the principles of, nature's God, nature's laws. Good. Knows really who we are. Good. Has a national stature.
Mm-hmm.
And
knows the system.
Yeah, and knows the system really well. And people, I think, would be passionate for him. He said, that's great. Who is it? And I said, Senator David Barton. He didn't laugh, and there was dead silence on the phone. And I said, oh, my gosh, David Barton. He said, Glenn, I will tell you that that's the worst thing anybody could say. If the Lord tells me to do it, I'll do it. But so far, I haven't heard. And I said, David, it is me, the Lord.
Did he fall for that?
No, he didn't. Okay. No, he didn't. And that's why I say it's the worst thing anyone could say, because those people are like,
there's nothing you can
stick to my brain. There's nothing you can say.
That? There's nowhere to go with that.
There's nothing. And I've had several people say that. Louis said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Rafael Cruz said that to me. I said, Rafael, here's my idea. You run against Cornyn. And he said, mm-hmm. And I said, that way, it's a father. Now, I know your son's not going to like this, but it's a father and son, and you're kind of the crazy one. So everybody looks. So your son can go, look, I'm his son, but he's nuts. I'm not going that far. So your son all of a sudden is a moderate. He said, if the Lord tells me to do that, I'd do it, but the Lord's not telling me to do that. I'm like, oh.
Again, nowhere to go with that.
Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So what I'd like to do is I'd like you to ask that David Barton suddenly receives a miracle ear.
That does happen, right? I mean,
yeah, it does.
Sometimes, maybe you're not understanding correctly, or maybe something changes in your life.
No, and maybe this is just not the time. Maybe I don't know what is, but I just know it's really strange, because there are things that are happening that I know about. That everybody that I know and respect are being told, hold. Even with us, hold. And I keep saying, we're running. Hold for what? We're running out of time. Hold. Okay, we'll hold. And that's what I'm hearing. And it's strange. Talking to people, they're all saying the same thing. I don't know why, but I'm not supposed to do anything yet.
And everybody's, he's gaining traction, even though it's only a rumor. And there's
David, I think would be
talking about.
I think David
people
would
are
be
all
a big deal.
Excited about this.
Yeah, the smears on David would be enormous.
It'd be crazy.
But gosh, would they smear that guy?
But most everybody who would vote for him knows better anyway. So yeah. I don't think that
David just has the problem of going up against Goliath. But again,
big money,
huge money.
But I think donors would get behind David. They discussed him this morning on the Morning Cup of Postum.
Really?
With that cute little couple, Joe and Mika. They are good.
But
they were even talking about him there.
You also have a piece up, Texas Tea Party members trying to recruit what they say is another Ted Cruz, essentially.
Oh, boy, we need another one.
Who are they looking at and why?
Yeah, so Ted Cruz is really driving the conversation in the Republican Party, much to the dismay of Republicans. So in Texas, they're talking about bringing another Tea Party guy, a Ted Cruz type, to run against Senator John Cornyn, who is up next year. It's David Barton, who helped Ted Cruz win. He's a radio host down there. They call him an evangelical historian. That's the first time I've heard it.
Let me tell you, David Barton. I've got David Barton's books, actually. So David Barton is a guy.
Stop for a second. They call him an evangelical historian. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. You can't be a Christian and a historian. An evangelical historian. If you're not a godless animal, I guess you can't.
No, you can't know what happened in the past.
No, you can't know what happened in the past at all. No. They call him an evangelical historian.
So bad.
But yet
So
there's
bad.
more.
Yeah.
Give you a little background here, but you didn't know this. Little background here. David Barton goes back and he shows all of the quotes of founding fathers. And I mean, very, very explicitly makes the point that this country was founded by men of great faith.
Thank you,
And
Joe.
so David Barton, I mean, a lot of evangelicals know who this guy is. He'll probably have a national following. That's fantastic. So I just guess I know him.
You think he's qualified to be in the United States Senate?
Well, I mean,
No,
kind of temperament everybody else is.
Stop! Is he qualified?
evangelical
He's a historian.
No.
Look, hang on just a second. I got it right here, okay? Here's what it takes to be qualified for the U.S. Senate. Now, see if David Barton lives up to this. You have to be 30 years old
Right.
and an American citizen.
Okay.
I don't think David Barton, he's an evangelical Christian historian.
Texas.
I mean, he's not 30. He's over 30.
Right, you have to be exactly 30 years old.
That's what you could read it that way.
You could, and then you have to stay there till you die, obviously.
Obviously.
As we're seeing
Yes.
by senator after senator.
Geez, Max Baucus is finally retiring in Montana.
No way.
And he's been there since I was, I think, a freshman in high school. He's been
No
a
way.
U.S. senator. That's a while. That's a while. That's a while.
Would you
These
Would
guys,
you like to?
been there too long.
Would you like to
It's
guess?
over
how-
10 years. It's over 10.
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, how much over
It's
10?
almost
12-ish?
It's almost half a century.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah,
Almost half of a
c-
quarter of a century, actually. I
Almost
think it's
half of a
like a
quarter.
dozen years or something. Yeah. It's been
I think it might be a little more
longer than that. I can't remember how long, but it's been a while. But it's fortunately he's going, and there's another seat we should get back.
Yeah.
We should get back Louisiana, Montana. I mean, Mary Landrieu, there's no reason for her in
Well,
Louisiana.
Montana is a weird state, man.
It is.
Montana's a weird state. I don't know what happens to Montana because Montana. What
They'll
was the name of that
elect
gov-
Democrats.
Yeah, I know. What was the name of that weird governor? Is he still Schweitzer?
Yeah, it was.
You've had him on before.
Yeah, we had him on, and I liked him at first.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait a minute, hang on just a second, hang on. I've spent more than 8 minutes with you. I don't think you're a good guy.
Well, he's good on some things.
Yeah, he is.
And
He's
Montana's-
really good on some things.
Montana seems to be one of those states, too, where, like, one of these guys gets elected, and you know their name, and then they're there forever, no matter what. But, like, Baucus is
But
a
I
good
mean, it's
example
really
of that.
not that hard for the entire state to go door to door in that state.
Yeah.
I don't mean that as a slam. I mean that sincerely. With an exception of gas and, airplanes, you could meet everybody in that state in a very, relatively small number of years. My gosh, is that a sign? Hang on just a second. Oh, my gosh, look at that. David Barton for United States Senate.
You just print that up, Jeffy? Where did you get that?
Where did you get that sign?
They had these printed up Friday night at the Mercury One dinner.
At the dinner.
Who printed it? Mercury One didn't print them.
No, I don't know. Some of the people that were there for the dinner had some.
I'm going
they
to
held them up when
go to
David spoke.
Go to David Barton. What did he say? I had to leave. Hang on. David Barton for Senate.com or .org. I went to, I'm sitting there and my son had an 8 o'clock at night game